Our first reading is taken from the book of Proverbs that comes straight after the book of Psalms in the Old Testament, and it is a collection of pithy sayings, aphorisms, and I think it was chosen for today for these words. She holds out her hand to the poor, she opens her arms to the needy, and let her works tell her praises at the city gates. For today's saint is St. Margaret of Scotland. At the centerpiece of this fresco on the right-hand side of our sanctuary, we have St. Margaret surrounded by her children and the poor to whom she was devoted. She is an English princess and a Queen of Scotland. She was born, in fact, in exile in Hungary, but later came and in 1070 married King Malcolm III of Scotland. She had 8 children, and 3 of them succeeded her as kings of Scotland, including Saint David I. And I was trying to do some research but didn't have the time. I think one of her issue is Alexander II, who founded Pluskerton Abbey of this diocese. She herself co-founded Dunfermline Abbey in Dunfermline, where she is still venerated as the co-patron of Scotland. And those of you who've been to Edinburgh will know the road Queen's Ferry. That's named after her. She established 2 ferries, North and South Queen Ferry, to take pilgrims from one side of the Firth of Forth to St. Andrews on pilgrimage, which was one of the main centres of pilgrimage in Scotland in the Middle Ages. But above all, she's remembered for her charity, her love for the poor. And hence we have the Gospel today, just as St. Matthew's Gospel begins with the Beatitudes, a new way of living that Christ came to call us to and to enable us to live by his grace. So at the end of St. Matthew's Gospel, we've got this stark statement about the Last Judgment. Now, there is an idea abroad quite common. Everybody gets to heaven, don't they, when they die? Well, not according to this gospel. There will be a separation. There is a heaven and a hell, and there are criteria for which way you go. And so the Lord asks us, did you feed the hungry or not? Did you give drink to the thirsty or not? Did you help the sick, visit them or not? Those in prison or not? Do you help the homeless or not? It is that on which we will be judged. Terribly specifically, it's rather awful in a real sense to fill us with awe and to wake us up. And Bishop Barron says it's a good idea every night to examine your conscience. Which of these spiritual and temporal works of mercy have I exercised this day? It is the quality of my love on which I will be judged, which way I will go, where the division will be, sheep or goats. Among those who are most like Queen Margaret of Scotland in many ways, obviously not as regards loyalty, was St. Teresa of Calcutta, and her spiritual advisor, Paul Murray, a Dominican, was once having a long conversation with her about the roots of her spirituality. And she told him how her days were spent in prayer and meditation in the morning, at Mass, in adoration, in saying the Rosary, and then working amongst the poorest of the poor, the neediest of the neediest. And she ended up asking him to stretch out the palm of his hand and put it on the table in front of him. And she said, "You did it to me."